Okay, so, like, who isn't obsessed with taking photos on their phone these days? Seriously. Birthdays, vacations, that amazing lunch you had. We capture it all.
Our phones are like extensions of ourselves,
Yeah.
full of memories, right?
Well, totally. But it kind of makes you think, what happens to all those photos when we upgrade to a shiny new device? You know, with the used phone market exploding and everything.
It's a little unnerving when you stop to think about it.
Right. Like, are those photos really gone? Or could someone, get their hands on them? That's what we're diving into today. The truth about used phones and whether those maybe embarrassing selfies are truly gone for good.
And we got some fascinating research to unpack. Even got a little technical at times, I have to admit.
Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening. Like this one study we found by Blanco, a data security firm, they analyzed 100 used Android phones, and what they found was, well, pretty concerning.
Definitely got my attention.
They were able to recover data from a significant chunk of those phones, and not just like basic contact info. We're talking personal photos, messages, even browsing history, the works.
Makes you think twice about hitting that factory reset button, huh?
Right. Because I thought that was supposed to wipe everything clean. I mean, that's what I always do before getting rid of an old phone.
It seems like a surefire solution, but the reality is a lot more complicated. The effectiveness of a factory reset really depends on a couple of things. Mainly, the phone's operating system and how it actually stores data.
Okay, so some phones are more vulnerable than others.
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Like older Android versions, those running, say, 2.3 to 5.x, those tend to be more susceptible to data recovery, even after a factory reset.
So all those people clinging to their old Androids.
Might want to listen closely.
Definitely. But what about the newer phones? The ones with all the latest updates? They're safe, right?
Generally, much safer, yes, they've got stronger security measures in place, but there's always a but, isn't there? Look, no system is ever going to be 100% foolproof, right?
So you're saying there's still a chance someone can get their hands on my data, even with a brand new phone?
It's highly unlikely, especially if we're talking casual snooping. But the study did make it clear that for someone determined enough, especially with physical access to your device.
Like if they actually have my phone in their hand.
Exactly. There are ways they could potentially still find vulnerabilities.
Okay, that's not what I wanted to hear, but I appreciate the honesty. So how are these super skilled hackers actually doing it? What are the methods they're using to get at our data?
Well, one term kept popping up in the research. RETs.
Rats, like the furry little creatures. Are they hiding in our phones now?
Not quite, though that would be a whole other episode. RAT stands for Remote Access Trojan.
Okay. Still sounds kind of creepy.
It is. Think of it like this. You download what you think is a harmless app, or click a link that looks totally legit.
It happens all the time.
Right. But hidden inside that seemingly innocent download is a malicious program. Your Trojan horse, so to speak.
Sneaky. So how does that actually work to, get at my photos?
Basically, once that RAT is on your device, it's like leaving a back door wide open. Hackers can then use that access to remotely control certain functions on your phone. Viewing your photos, copying them, maybe even deleting them.
All without me knowing, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
And that's just one way. Another vulnerability that often gets overlooked. Outdated software. We've all been guilty of ignoring those update notifications.
Wait, are you saying those updates actually matter?
Big time. They often include security patches that address weaknesses hackers could exploit.
Huh. So I'm basically leaving my phone wide open to attack if I don't update.
You're leaving yourself vulnerable, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not just apps. Operating system updates are critical, too. Always, always keep everything updated.
Wow, this is making me rethink my entire digital life. It's crazy how much stuff we keep on our phones, and it can be really hard to get rid of. There was even a case in one of the articles where someone sent their phone to a professional data recovery lab, and they were still able to get information off of it.
It shows you how persistent that data can be.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to erase, even for the professionals.
This is a lot to digest, but before we spiral into complete paranoia, I need some actionable advice. Let's shift gears and talk solutions. What can we actually do to protect our photos and our digital lives in general? Okay, so my head is officially spinning with all this data talk, but I am ready for solutions. Hit me with your best tips. How do we protect ourselves?
All right, let's talk strategy. First things first, factory reset.
Music to my ears. I thought I was doing something wrong, but you're saying it's still important.
Absolutely. It's like step one of the digital breakup. Before you even think about selling, donating, or heaven forbid, just losing your old phone,
Mhm.
factory reset is a must.
So I'm on the right track with that one, but
Yeah.
you mentioned older Androids might need a little extra love, right? What's the deal with that?
You're right. For those clinging to their older Android devices, we need to talk about encryption.
Okay, encryption. That sounds intense. Am I going to need a degree in computer science for this?
I promise it's easier than it sounds. Basically, encryption scrambles up all the data on your phone and makes it completely unreadable. Think of it like this. It's like putting your data in a lockbox that only you have the key to.
I like that. A digital lockbox. So even if someone does get into my phone, they can't make sense of anything.
Exactly. It adds that extra layer of security, especially for those extra cautious folks out there.
Smart. I'm all about those extra layers. Speaking of which, you mentioned something earlier about data wiping apps. Those sound pretty hardcore.
They're like the heavy hitters of the data erasing world. A factory reset is great, don't get me wrong, but data wiping apps take things a step further. Think of it this way. If a factory reset is like sweeping your kitchen floor, a data wiping app is like bringing in the industrial cleaning crew. It scrubs every nook and cranny, multiple times over, making data recovery virtually impossible.
Wow. Okay, so no trace of those embarrassing selfies.
You got it, gone without a trace.
Yeah.
Especially important for those older devices where data remnants might be hanging around even after a reset.
Data wiping app downloaded. What about SIM cards? I always forget those tiny things are even in there.
Don't underestimate the SIM card. It holds a ton of information linked to your phone number and your network. So yeah, always remove before parting with your phone. And while you're at it, take a minute to log out of all your accounts and unlink any cloud services.
Out of sight, out of mind. Right.
Exactly. And remember all that talk about software updates.
Oh, right. Those pesky things. They're about more than just new emojis.
Way more. Those updates often contain super important security patches. They're basically fixing those weaknesses that hackers could use to break into your phone.
It's like installing a security system for my digital life.
Exactly. Keep those updates coming. It's a simple thing to do that can make a huge difference. And hey, if you really want to go above and beyond, consider enabling encryption on your current phone too.
It's like having a bodyguard for my data. I like it. We've covered so much ground today. Photos, passwords, browsing history. It's kind of wild what we entrust to these little devices.
It really is.
Yeah.
And as we move even further into this digital world, being mindful of our digital footprint is more important than ever. It's not just about what we do when we're done with the device, but the habits we practice every day.
So true. Well, thanks for joining me for this deep dive, everyone. It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
And a little scary, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Stay safe out there, everyone.